In this episode, we go over our 2025 AI predictions and which AI trends you should follow going into the new year, which could have significant impact in your business. Welcome to the AI Accelerator for Business show, where you get the latest strategies, tactics, and information to get the business benefits from artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye. I'm joined by my co-host, Jeff Bradshaw, and today we're going to give our 2025 AI predictions. So, Jeff, I got five really, I think, predictions. I think most of them are pretty conservative outside of two. And I'm thinking maybe you have one from an actual practical application, but I don't know what you have today. But let's get started. Maybe from a quick recap of the year, there's too many things to list, but it's, this last couple of months have been really ridiculous in terms of everybody shipping. But I do think this year overall, I'm still skeptical that businesses and really our the businesses we work with and those that are listening today, I'm kind of skeptical that they'll actually take AI seriously because it's still moving too fast.
You know what, Carl, I agree with that. I think it's still moving fast, but I think what's going to spark some of that interest that some of these companies have is they're going to start to see competitors or aligned industries starting to come up with some new AI-driven services or products. And I think that's going to, scare a few of them. And I think it might spark a bit more interest in what's actually happening in the marketplace.
I'm going to go through a couple of mine. Let's say I'll go through two. Maybe you can go through two and we'll go back and forth here. My first one, and I because of the releases of advanced voice mode and vision and some of the things that we're doing with voice, I think voice usability, like AI voice usability, and when I mean AI voice, I don't mean deepfakes, could mean that too, but I think people will get more comfortable having full conversations with AI, and I'm kind of giving this 25%. I'm not sure how I would ever measure that, but I think we'll see a little bit more of it, just because we've talked about it in the past. I think one of the most underused things that anyone can do is record conversations with themselves, record conversations with other people, and then use the transcripts to do things. And that's super basic. But then now you have the ability to have full conversations with a trained model. And it's so easy because it's so easier to have a conversation than to type anything out.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that we're going to see that on all fronts. I think customer service, I think product information, it's going to change the way that the search happens. I think you're going to see more releases from these big companies, and people will just start to be more comfortable with it and realize that it's just a more suitable way to get information, whether it's searching or research or whatever the case might be.
And then the second prediction on that is I believe there'll be an increase. I'm saying 30%, maybe not that high, but an increase in AI roles. So we've seen very little on LinkedIn, Indeed, or whatever roles, AI roles. I've seen one or two. And even the one or two that I've seen, people who are applying for them, there's not very many people applying for them. Not to the degree to marketing jobs, strategist jobs, and the regular tech type of jobs. But I do see companies will start realizing that, and I still I believe they'll start hiring more of those type of people.
And I think that you're going to see it on all levels. I mean, I think that, and I think that's going to start to impact even the job market. I think you're going to start to see companies that are going to start to see that impact of, employees and the way that the AI can start to assist in these positions.
Those are two of mine. What about a couple of yours?
You know what? I think for me, I think that we are going to see an increased openness from business executives to look at this. And I think we're also going to see a bit of a bigger push from executives with, rather than being hemmed in by corporate policies and limiting their capabilities to, and ultimately having, I hate to say it, but the IT departments, strap them with their capabilities I think we're going to start to see those floodgates open up a little bit more. I think we are going to see, a few more test pilots with companies and being open. And I think it's going to come from one, being a bit more comfortable with what AI is capable of. And I think two, it's also going to be a bit of a fear factor. I think they're going to start to go, we need to start making a move here. And we can't wait till we completely figure this thing out.
And more so, I think it's because everyone's going to be talking about it even more. There's a lot of hype and stuff, so they kind of there's going to be a bit of a FOMO and a bit of a peer pressure, and they have to do it. But I think maybe that might be a little bit of a mistake just to get into it. I think you still need to think about how you can connect this to your overall business goals, because there's just too many things to play with.
Well, totally. And I think, and I'm hoping, this is my prediction, and this is maybe my hope, is that we start to see that gap shrink a little bit from, again, we take a look at the last month, and it's just been a flurry of new releases and things that most people can't even fathom the capabilities. And I'm hoping that we're going to start to see that gap close where industry starts to understand it a bit more and realize what things like an O3 model or some of these, vision capabilities and the voice capabilities are capable of doing. And we're going to start to see that gap close a little bit so that, again, I'm hoping to see more advancement in what's capable.
What's your second one?
You know what? I think that, and maybe this is a bit of the negative side, but I also think we're going to start to see a lot more threats. I think we're going to see a lot more fraudulent activity because I think we're going to see the dark side come through with AI. And that's not a real positive prediction, but I just think that's reality, is that you're going to start to see deep fakes. You're going to start to see information. I share this one. I mean, my dad called me 2 days ago and I'm in the market for a new truck. And he's like, you got to see this new Caterpillar truck. It's absolutely amazing. And then 10 minutes later, he saw the new John Deere truck and he's like, wait a minute. Like, he was convinced Caterpillar was releasing a new pickup. And I literally showed him, I said, Dad, here. And I showed him, 3 new pickups from Caterpillar that I just created just using ChatGPT. So I think that's, kind of the downside of it, is I think we're going to start to see a lot of people, being taken advantage of. And that's, so hopefully, again, we can start to limit that with knowledge.
So I'll go two for me. The one thing I think from a business perspective, I think we're going to see actual use case, not just examples like what we saw in Project Mariner or Claude's computer use, is actual AI agents that aren't workflows, that aren't just glorified workflows like the ones that we see with HubSpot Breeze or Salesforce agents or whatever people are calling agents these days, that they are actual. And I'm thinking this is probably latter in the year, that you could actually say they could be your senior employee that can go, you can give them a task that could have taken maybe not months, but let's say a week, couple days, and they come back in an hour and they've completed, I don't know, 60, 50% of it. That's where I think we'll actually see the use case of agents. And maybe that's the trigger that'll, we probably will show this in our prospect demos, but to really open businesses' minds that, we can actually start using this today.
And I think, and that's another one of mine, is I think that there's going to be new benchmarks set, I think, in the new year. I think we're going to start to see some advancements, and I think it might come in things like healthcare or some areas like that where we're going to see, or even customer service. I think you're going to start to see new benchmarks, and I think it's going to be 1 or 2 organizations that have taken it past kind of that pilot stage, and they're going to set a benchmark that everybody else is going to be expected to live up to. And I mean, if you take a look at it right now, I mean, I'm still amazed how I can put an order in on Amazon and it shows up in my door sometimes the same day.
Yeah.
Like, just mind-blowing. So what an Amazon has done from a customer service standpoint is it's made every other organization have to step up and figure out how to provide that same level of customer service. And I think in the healthcare space, I think you're going to start to see advancements, but I think it also even comes to things like, climate issues and being able to deal with the emissions and everything else that's out there. So I think you're going to see it widespread across every industry, these benchmarks that are really exciting to help everybody step up their game.
Well, I'm gonna go into a little bit of the, a little bit far out, but I don't think it's that far out. So with a model like O3 that, we'll get end of January, full model end of February, whatever it is, I do believe a major disease will be cured by AI. I really believe it'll be able to. Maybe it's with the help of humans, but I think it's smart enough now, and you can run it multiple times. You can have multiple of these to be able to, whatever from a genome to biology, whatever that is, to be able to find that cure, whether it's a specific cancer type, major disease, or whatever it is. I really believe there's going to be a significant disease that is going to be cured with AI, significant AI involvement in.
And that's a hopeful one. And I think that's, that's AI for the benefit of society as a whole. I got another one that's a bit far out there, and this is one that I've had written down for 30 plus years. And I don't know if it's going to be 2025. It might be a bit further out, but I've always looked at information and looking at your brain as a hard drive. I watch, and you and I have had this conversation, even these podcasts, my attention span is so short and I'm so hungry for information. I'm always watching and listening to podcasts at 1.5 speed, basically as fast as I can to get through it, because I want the information, but I don't want to spend the time. And I think there's going to be something out there where maybe it's not a chip in the back of our head that we can download information to, but I think there's going to be ways to improve. And you're already seeing that with AI right now, where you can take a 100-page document and use AI to summarize it and give you the key points. But I think there's going to be some advancements there from a learning standpoint that people will be able to retrieve and understand more information quicker. And again, it's not going to necessarily be the download to your little chip in your head, but I think there's going to be ways for us to advance the speed of learning that will help across the board in so many different areas.
Well, we've already seen it with Neuralink, right? You've seen like a paraplegic, quadriplegic being able to take action just with their mind. One of mine is, I think Elon said that they're going to start testing, and I think this is going to happen in the maybe third quarter of this year, is where someone blind will be able to see just with, could be Neuralink, could be something else, that they'll be able to see. And to me, again, that's so amazing to be able to have someone who may have been born blind or had an accident or something happened to be able to see, which is a little bit selfish because I wear glasses a lot, and it'd be really cool that, instead of having eye surgery or something, or another option to having eye surgery or whatever, is now you can have this thing that's implanted in your brain. It's like, oh, now my vision is even like back to full strength, back to, where it was when I was a kid.
Well, you think about that though, vision, hearing, mobility, there's so many opportunities there. I think the other thing that, and again, this is maybe a bit of a bigger prediction, but I also think from a societal standpoint, there is a big concern, and this is something that organizations need to think about, is that when you take a look at AI, and a lot of the times we're meeting with executives and they're saying, you mean I can reduce my workforce using this technology? Yeah, you can, but think about the fact that if we take away, millions of jobs using AI, what does that do to society as a whole? What does that do to the 17-year-old kid that can't get a job at McDonald's because they've been replaced by, an automation? We got to think about how we take care of society as a whole and poverty. And I think that, again, I hope we can use AI, for good, for figuring out things like domestic abuse or poverty or other societal issues that we all deal with around the country and even in our own backyards.
And I think that's kind of where the hopefulness of AI is, right? It's like, there's a lot of bad that could be used, but there's a lot of good too, right? You have this PhD level, higher PhD level thing that can now help you solve problems. So whether that's curing diseases or tackling some of the most difficult things that society and people are looking at, right? So whether it's, like you said, climate change, whether it's things like domestic abuse, whether it's like having diseases, but some really big challenges that we have this capability now. So those are my predictions. Voice usability, AI roles increased, AI agents cure a disease, and then Neuralink to show for someone who's blind. Those are mine. What was yours again?
And I kind of had some random ones. I think there's the negative impacts on society. The whole download your chip. I think there's going to be, we're going to close the gap on that between the uninformed and the informed, and organizations being able to how to incorporate it into their operations from an efficiency standpoint. And I think overall, I'm a very optimistic person when it comes to this technology. And I just think that, we're going to make, the world a better place using this new technology. And I think that that's the exciting thing about it. And I really think that, people need to stay curious. Don't be intimidated by, all of this new jargon and technology. I think move towards it and figure out how you can use it for good. whether it's in your organization, whether it's for society, whatever it might be, for your own personal use. I think another one that just I was going to tag on there is even from a mental health standpoint. I think if we can utilize AI and if people can figure out ways to use AI to help, cure, help, maintain, manage mental health, I think would be a huge plus. And I'm hoping that that's one of my predictions for 2025 as well, that it'll come into play in that area.
Learn more about future AI business trends by watching these videos here. Enjoy the episode? Want to learn how AI can impact your business? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in our next episode.